Welcome to the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast, the show where real estate investors talk strategy, capital, deals, and growth with your host, Dave Dubeau.
Trailers, mobiles, mobile home parks, you've heard of it. Well, today's guest, Caleb Landon, knows all about this. He is investing in mobile home parks, like the whole thing. He's a young guy getting rolling with this, but he's already got, I believe, over 250 pads in the portfolio. So Caleb, zooming in from Sacramento, California, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So give me a little snapshot of why mobile home parks. What floats your boat about this particular real estate asset?
Sure. Yeah. So about 2 or 3 years ago, I was working for a different company, and I left that company with the knowledge that I've gained. And I came into the market and I looked around at all the different real estate
another
assets.
Company doing what?
Mobile home park investing. So
Okay.
What did come from mobile home parks. That is my background, is mobile home parks. But when I left that company, I was an open book. I wanted to know what's the best real estate asset class to look into. I mean, I looked into commercial, I looked into residential, apartment, I looked into all of them. And consistently over the last, call it 10, 15 years, mobile home parks and self-storage have been at the very top of returns for real estate. And since I already had come from mobile home parks, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a deep dive into mobile home parks on the investment side. I was on the acquisitions team, my previous company, so I was doing a lot of the underwriting to actually see if it's a good deal, but I never went beyond the purchase. It was basically up to purchase point, never did anything beyond that. And there are several things in the mobile home park industry that make it such an appealing investment. The biggest one as of today is just the gap between where rents should be and where they currently are. A lot of the people who own mobile home parks, I believe there's 44,000 mobile home parks in the US, and I believe it's less than 5% are institutionally owned. So there's a huge portion of mom and pop owners and non-sophisticated owners that own these parks. And if rents have been kept up with inflation, lot rents should be around $1,000 a month. And currently, I think the average in the US is around $400 a month. So significantly lower, and it's the cheapest option, and it's say 95% of markets if you're looking for a non-government subsidized form of housing. And most of the towns that we're in, our lot rent is half as much as the average two-bedroom apartment rents. So significant moat there. You also have the moat of governments won't let you build more of them in most states and most cities because they don't recoup their tax revenue on it. And so every year, I believe there's only 10 new mobile home parks built and several more demolished. So you're kind of in an asset class. You can't build. You can obviously build more apartments. You can build more single family, but you can never really build more mobile home parks. And so the average cap rate with a mobile home park that we look at nowadays is in the 7 to 8% range, which you're not getting a 7 or 8% cap on a single family home or an apartment really anywhere right now. And so most of the deals we buy, I mean, we're doubling our investor capital in 3 to 4 years, which is it's definitely possible in other asset classes, but with mobile home parks, it's definitely it's really easy to do compared to what is out there.
So it's way before your time, Caleb, but what's your understanding of when mobile home parks really kind of came into fashion?
Yep.
Why they were so popular back in the day, and they're building them all at 44,000, probably more than that. And then when did the tide turn, and why did municipalities kind of, decide to shut them down or not permit them anymore?
Yeah, so most parks in the U.S. are built in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And they were transient. I mean, the typical RV structure, which we'll have today, which is you're a family, you're driving down the road, going from coast to coast, and you're pulling off the freeway, and you're parking your RV on someone's lot. So that's how they originally built. And then it was actually it was a luxury thing back then, because if you were in the 40s and 50s and you had an RV and you were going across country, you're rich. And so it had a super high class of people going in them, and then it slowly turned into, hey, well, why don't I just park my RV here and I'll live in it? Why don't I just do that? And then it turned into, well, RVs are pretty tiny. Why can't we build them 16 feet wide and make them 76 feet long, and I'll just put it on a permanent foundation and we'll live in that? And so it's been evolving over the last 70 years, call it. And then it slowly turned into, well, now since we could build these homes so cheap in factories, and because these mom and pops have not raised rent in so long, it's the cheapest form of housing you can get. And so that also gives us another tremendous moat, because in an up market, if we're going up and inflation's back, we're raising our rents, we're selling our homes for higher prices. In a down market, people are downsizing, people are trying to get to the cheapest form of housing, which is also mobile home parks. So traditionally, we've been good in both sides. I think last year our average rents throughout our portfolio went up about 8 to 9%. And for single family, I think it was stagnant last year. So
Yeah.
either way, we're doing fine. So
Well, you're very bullish about this. You've done some homework. You got a lot of, you know, track record working in this field. It's nothing's perfect. So what's the downside? What are some of the downsides to mobile homes, mobile home
sure.
parks?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest risk, and this is the one that could happen to anyone, is like a tornado or something coming through and wiping out all the homes. Natural disasters are a pretty big piece of mobile home parks, mostly because since the tenant owns their home and you're renting them the land, most of those homes are underinsured and or there's no insurance at all if it's paid off. Most people don't have insurance on their home. And so
Wow.
if a tornado comes through and knocks out 50 of your 100 homes, you just lost half your income. And it's easier said than done getting brand new homes on the property. And those tenants likely can't afford those homes anymore. And so that's kind of the scary one is having a tornado or a hurricane or something come through your park.
Okay.
Also, stagflation in the mobile home park industry is one of the worst options compared to an up or a down market. When you're not getting much movement, you can't really increase your rents that much. And yeah, it's hard to sell homes in stagflation, which that's how I make the majority of our money is bringing in new homes to these parks. I do primarily value add properties, and so bringing in these new homes, raising the rents, doing these things is much harder in a stagflation market. But luckily, we haven't had too much of that over the last 20 years, call it. So
So the previous company you're working with, you were focused a lot on acquisitions. Now, if I understand correctly, Caleb, you've got a fund that you're raising capital for. And are you still involved in acquisitions, or have you partnered up with somebody who kind of does that side of things?
yeah, so I'm the only GP on my side, so it's just
Oh,
me that's running the company. Yeah, we do everything start to finish for you. The goal is to get you mailbox money. So we syndicate investors. So for the last deal we did, it was a $2.8 million purchase. I think we raised 1.1 million with about 20 investors. So we pull all their capital together, we buy the property, and then yeah, you're basically as the investor, you're clear at that point. You're just getting the check in the mail. We handle all the management. We handle locating a deal. We handle all the financing, the refinance in 5 years. We do it all. So
so right now, how many communities are you involved with?
we have 7 communities. There's 3 in Michigan, 3 in Iowa, and 1 in Texas. And so far, those states have been great. We have a pretty strict buying criteria. We try not to buy in blue states. We try to buy in MSAs that are at least 25,000 population, have a $200,000 average home price, have job growth, population growth. We kind of have a pretty strict criteria there. So those states have been great to us so far, and we're continuing to buy in those ones.
So where are you taking your company over the next year or two? Where do you see things going?
Yeah, we're gonna keep buying. I mean, I've any possible scenario of the next 10 years, I see mobile home parks being a better investment. Housing could get more affordable, and even so, all of our properties are cash flowing, and most parks in the U.S. are cash flowing. So even if there was a flight away from mobile home parks, it would take quite a bit of a big change in whatever's happening in the economy for it to be negatively affect us, and that's not going to affect anyone else.
Okay, it would
So
have to be a massive crash.
yeah, it would have to be something huge. And at that point, it's like, well, any industry you're in is going to be affected
Yeah,
by that.
everybody's
So
hurting.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very cool. So, what do you find works best these days for finding deals? Do you go primarily through brokers? Do you go direct to owners? Where are you finding your deals?
Yeah, so larger companies, they've had a lot of success cold calling owners. I don't do that as much. I have a pretty strong broker network. And yeah, I find stuff on market all the time on Crexy, LoopNet, and some stuff like that. I found that most investors or most brokers I talk to, they're the second they get the deal, they're listing it on Crexy and LoopNet and also sending it to me. So it's not like they're holding it for a month, month and a half, kind of having it as a pocket listing and then going on to public. Some do that, but for the most part, I mean, the first deal I did publicly with investors, we doubled their money in about 25 months, I believe. That was found on Crexy. It was a public deal. It was on market for about, I think, 60 days before we bought it. So you could make a lot of money with these parks online. So
Okay, cool. When you're talking with people, because I'm sure you meet a lot of people that are curious about mobile home park investing, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about this?
Yeah, a big one. They think that we also rent the home, and some operators do that. A lot have failed in the past doing that. Misconception is, yeah, we only do lot rent. Most people only do lot rent, and that's kind of the sought after model. The other one is people just underestimate how much cash flow there is with that kind of investment. I mean, one of the parks we have in Iowa, it's direct build utilities. The city maintains the streets, and all of the homes are resident owned. So we literally just own the land and we own the utilities from the hookup to the city connection, which is like 5 feet. And when you have that little maintenance to take care of, I mean, I maybe get one call a month for that property, and that's 35 units. And so, yeah, I think they underestimate how efficiently you could run these properties. And when you have the right setup, it could be very, very profitable. And also, I mean, it's somewhat true. You get the trailer trash kind of expectation there. And there is some of that. I mean, some parks are very nice. You get some senior communities and they're fantastic to live in. But yeah, it's all over the board. You kind of get a good mix of people in there. So,
Yeah, I would imagine.
yeah.
Awesome, Caleb. Well, hey, this has been interesting. If people want to connect with you and find out more, where should they go?
Yeah, landoncapitalgroup.com. That's my website. My cell's on there. My email's on there. You can call me, email me anytime.
Awesome, Caleb. Thanks for being on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Property Profits Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, apply at daveinterviewyou.com.